Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Halacha. The Daily Halacha is sponsored by Doreen and Marshall Lerner in memory of Marshall's mother, Alma Lerner, Osna Bat Moshe, and I thank the Lerners for their generous sponsorship. We are almost done with the first main chapter of the book, Bitzur, which talks about praying to God out of a sense of tsar, of distress. We've moved from formal prayer out of a sense of distress to informal prayer, to the idea that whenever we're facing some sort of difficulty, whenever something comes up in the middle of the day that's troubling, we stop for a moment and we ask God for help. Rabbi Pincus here in the book, in Shearim B'Tefila, suggests that this type of faith that we turn to God automatically whenever we're feeling in tsar is like a muscle. Faith is like a muscle, and it needs to be exercised, and it needs to be developed in order for it to be strong and ready when we need it. And so he says the following: Harei pashut b'chol inyan shemizdamein lo la'adam im haya omed samuch lo yedido uviyado le'ozro. If something happens to someone, a dangerous situation, and you happen to have your friend is standing next to you, you would automatically and immediately ask that person for help. You're climbing a ladder, and you feel the ladder is unsteady. And that's the key, beteva, naturally, automatically. So you'll scream down to whoever is below to please hold on to the ladder. V'im kain, and here's the key line: Mi sheyodea umargish et hamitziut hapshuta she'Hashem nitbarach karov eleinu tamid. Someone who really believes, who really feels that God is close to us always. Lama lo lomar b'pashtut ribono shel olam. Why wouldn't the person simply say, Lishuatcha kiviti Hashem? God, I await your salvation. Please hold the ladder. So there are two things going on here. First, we have to always do our own part, our own hishtadlut. We're not supposed to rely on God stepping in. That's what we call relying on a miracle, and we're not supposed to do that. If there's a person down there, we're supposed to say, hey, pal, could you please hold the ladder? And, Rabbi Pincus is suggesting, we're also supposed to ask God for help. And in order for that to become sort of our natural tendency, we have to practice it. We have to get used to it. We have to exercise that faith muscle. Now, sometimes there's not going to be a person there to help us right away, and so all we have to do is to cry out to God. But both of those things, of course, are important to have a full spiritual life, our own hishtadlut, our own efforts, and believing, and not only believing, but asking God to help us in those situations. And so he says, "Umutelet al hadam ha'avoda lahashlim teva zeh asher hutba b'nafsho." This natural tendency to call out for help is part of who we are, but nonetheless, we have to exercise it to make sure it stays with us. L'koshro limkor hayeshuot amiti v'lahaknot latzmo behergel teva sheni, and to make it what he calls second nature in this case. So as we've moved from formal prayer out of distress into informal prayer, now he's suggesting that we exercise that muscle as much as possible and get used to this idea of the belief that God is by our side always, and so that whenever something happens during the day, we take a moment to say, "Oh, dear God, please help me. I need to make an important decision. Please help me." And I'll just make this one other point, this connection between formal prayer and informal prayer. In formal prayer, for example, we have the bracha of Atah chonen la'adam dat. We ask God for wisdom. And when we say that prayer, we should stop and say, I have to make the following decisions today. I have the following things to do today. Please, God, give me the wisdom to do them properly. Similarly, if we're surprised or if something new comes up during the day, which we weren't expecting and we didn't talk about or think about in our silent amidah, in our formal prayer, that's the time to also say, Atah chonen la'adam dat. God, you give us wisdom. Please give me the wisdom to overcome this surprise challenge. So we have sort of an overlap between what we ask for in formal prayer and what we turn to God for in informal prayer. And again, we exercise and build that muscle. So when the time comes, it's our second nature. It's about feeling close to God always, which is a beautiful, beautiful aspect of this idea. Have a wonderful day, everyone.